everyone, and welcome to Barnes & Noble Tribeca. Tonight, as you all know, I have the distinct pleasure of introducing Lewis Black. Lewis has written and starred in a string of successful HBO and Comedy Central specials and one-man Broadway shows. He's won 2 Grammys, an Emmy, and an American Comedy Award. He appears regularly on The Daily Show and has written several best-selling books, including Me, a Little Faith, and Nothing Sacred. And he joins us this evening to discuss his latest work, I'm Dreaming of a Black Christmas. So won't you please join me in welcoming Lewis Black.
This is an interesting time to be doing this, because this is my nap time. It is. I mean, I'm being serious, especially during these months. The sun goes down and there's a child here, so let's watch the language. When the sun starts to come down earlier, usually between 5 and about 6, I like to get an hour's sleep in so that I can wake up and start screaming. I appreciate you all coming over here and hanging out with me for however long this is going to take. Both of us. And this is my new book. Last year's new book is on paperback, which is always kind of interesting. I really like this book. I think this is a really good book, and I think it's been shit on. And I'm not in a bad way. Just no one's really paid much attention to it. I can't believe I'm saying this, but that's why I explained first that I'm tired, so that if you realize that some of the stuff I'm saying is not edited, and normally I wouldn't say that this is a really good book, and I wouldn't toot my horn about it, but the book was really, I think, an interesting book, because I don't think there's a lot of books written about being single. And that's really what the book's about. It's about Christmas, but really, it's about being single. And I don't think people write about it. I don't think people talk about it. And when they do talk about it, it's in some sociological context, which is really interesting, but doesn't get into the emotional context, which is kind of matters. Especially if you're like myself, who don't, it's just, I was asked to write a book about Christmas by my editor, has he shown up, that prick? No, he hasn't. He said, I'll be there. That's where he came from. Oh yeah, I'll be there. And I said, because I've done stuff in my act about Christmas and Hanukkah and all that, and so I thought about it, and I said, I really don't have enough, and I'm not going to go on, and I'm really not going to write a book about it. And then it started to dawn on me that for the last 10 years I've spent pretty much, oh there, my editor is here. You made it. God, he does it right. That's Jake Morris. He's going to drag me through this. And to his credit, I said to him, I sat down with him and I gave him, which is something I've never done. I've written 2 other books, neither of which had outlines in which I was going, okay, I'll just keep writing until we reach until somebody tells me it's over. This book, I actually knew what the beginning and the middle and the end was going to be. And I basically presented to him and I said, I will write you a Christmas book, but I'm going to be writing a book about being single and disguising it as a Christmas book. And that really is what the book's about. I have tried to talk about it in terms of that. I basically, the reason I get kind of irritated with in terms of reaching beyond what is my, Daily Show audience and other people as an author, is that it's not, it basically doesn't get much coverage. The New York Times is not going to review this. I don't know how many books I will have to write until the New York Times reviews it. And not that to me is like coveted, but it's coveted in terms of advertising. And it's kind of, and it helps. I mean, it helped that the book was actually on the list for a while, and that was very nice. But the reason that I would be kind of interested, other than reading what the critics who I read on Amazon.com about my book, that's where I go to read. I have to go, and then I get upset. Some schmuck who I don't even know, in the middle of you don't know where, who may be living in, wherever it is, and who knows what, they've been drinking all day, whatever. But I read it as if it is appearing in, this is a review in the New Yorker. Every one of them, and then I go through a trauma about it. That's really where I read the reviews. And it just would interest me at some point, as much as I'm kidding in a sense about the advertisement, as much as to see where it stands in terms of just being a book. Now, for an author, for somebody who's been lucky enough to have 3 books published, bitching about the fact that they don't get a review is anyone who writes out there is really kind of a whiny, crybaby thing for me to be doing, and it is. I mean, it's kind of silly. This is not a problem at all. But the only wish I had in terms of this book is that I could, if I had it to do over again, was I'd like to have written it over the course of since the time that the Tea Party started. And I think some of the stuff that I write in here would be, I think it'd be a longer book. And I do, because I think that we're going to go into Christmas. Well, we're already in it. Let's face it. And we're going to hear all of this pontificating about this season in the midst of the rhetoric that is going to be, that they'll go on about. The fabulous new, that you don't redistribute. Here's words you don't say in public. Redistribution of income. Don't say it in public. You're going to say it, whisper to a friend, and keep moving. Okay? Nobody's interested. There's a portion of the country that is not interested. Most people still believe in it, but it doesn't matter. It has no effect on the whole. And in a season which is really a time about being a group of people, like goodwill toward men is in a community. The discussion, at least among the Republicans, is about the individual and how important they are, and how really important it is. The most important thing that this planet has to offer is the individual and how much that individual can make financially. And that's really what's important. And that's the most important thing. The group is a piece of shit. The group does not matter. What matters is that every individual make enough money. And we'll find out soon what that is. I'm sure they will have a posted thing for us all to read. And it's just vital that we, and the thing that just escapes me about this is that it was when I discovered in my readings that a lot of this is based on the philosophy of Ayn Rand. I don't know how many of you realize that. But a lot of what is the Tea Party philosophy, the kernel of it, Ayn Rand's books, which you can pick up here at Barnes & Noble. Probably I could get you a deal today. Straight up. Is it there?
On the wall. Look at that. Straight up.
Yeah, Atlas Shrugged. Wonderful. And so's the Fountainhead. You can go 2 for 1 today. But the thing, I mean, I really do. I mean, it was a great book to read when I was 15. I mean, it really was a great book to read at the age of 15. Because the questions brought up are really good questions for a 15-year-old. They're not good questions for a society that wants to survive. it's incomprehensible. The idea of the guy in the fountain, Howard Rower, who was president, I would have to kill myself. Unless, of course, it was Gary Cooper. And then I'd listen to whatever he said and follow him until I died. But I do think it's an odd, I just think it's spectacularly odd that's become, I don't understand, if the individual is truly what's important in our society, then why do we live in a group? Why? And I leave that question with you, and I'd like you to discuss it. I'll see you next semester. But I've just been kind of stunned by it. I've been trying to come up with a new act. Basically, I've done it. I'll push something. The new special that I've done, and we're trying to get it on somewhere. It'll be shown somewhere. And this is the hardest I've ever had trying to. I don't know how to describe what's going on now. It's beyond. I feel like my parents must have felt during the McCarthy era. That's what I feel like. It's really creepy. I think some of these people are really creepy. I think they're creepy that what upsets people is that Herman Cain, that the big upset now is that he might have touched tatas. That's the big upset. The fact that he's one of the most incomprehensible candidates in the history of American politics of my lifetime, never enters into discussion. He's a fascinating man, and isn't it wonderful that someone who makes pizza could run for the president? So I'm kind of thinking, Rick Perry, just all of them, and then I'm serious, and I watch a fair amount. I've not seen Obama on television in a while, and I'm beginning to wonder if he's around. I mean, it is really extraordinary. It's exquisite. You've got a Democratic Party that basically is holding a lit match, and the Republicans are throwing gasoline. That's the way I look at it. I could go on and on about this book. Really, my ego won't allow it. No, I mean, I don't know what else to say about the book. I mean, normally I would read it. I used to read a chapter from it, but it's the funniest chapter in the book, and you should read it on your own. Stupid to read the really funny chapter, and then you go, well, the rest of it wasn't as funny. So, you're over here. Please, grab a seat. Please. It's okay. Don't worry about it. You missed the best part. He's going to have to go over it, and I'll tell you. And mostly it wasn't in paragraphs. I spoke a lot, and then it was like they'd say something, and then it went dot, 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 and then I'd say something else, dot, dot, dot. A lot like I communicate my emails now, and my Twittering. Does anybody, just a question for you, does anybody know where you advertise to tell people what you're doing anymore? Anybody got a clear concept of that?
Still Facebook.
Facebook? You're telling me Facebook? You? How old are you? 61. You're 61 and it's Facebook. That's how I'm supposed to reach you, you son of a bitch. I'm supposed to reach you, I mean seriously, the newspaper, even the Post, for God's sake. Printed matter. No, you look at a screen now. Yeah. No, it's unbelievable. I've found that to be the biggest, it's a huge problem.
Advertise around the TV show that you appear on.
Oh yeah, good. Yeah, get that prick to do that. Get Riverhead to pony up a little cash. I don't think I had suggested to it. Yeah, really, do it. No. Somebody with like a Wonder toothbrush that you can get 3 for $2.99. They can afford to advertise. Riverhead Books, woo, it's out of their league. Not even on the 11:30 one where it even drops. If we drop, or 130 when it really kind of plummets those advertising rates. Yeah, that's really it's been kind of fascinating this year because when I will be, and it's more this year, it's been this way for a while, but when I tour, I will be standing across the street from a theater that I'm performing at, and I will guarantee that inevitably someone from the town will walk up to me and say, with my name flashing on the marquee, "What are you doing here?" I don't know how you get information through it. I'll take some questions if you got them.
And you've been down to Savannah Park?
Yeah, I have.
Which thing?
I think I went to. Well, look, I think what they're doing is really important, and I do. And I mean that, and I mean it in terms of society. I think what's more important than that is what they're doing for themselves.
Yeah.
I think that's what those kids are doing. That's what's important. In the end, look, I am so cynical at this point that I make my mother look like a happy fucking person. And she's miserable. And so, I was asked when some kids came up to me and said, "Why are you here?" And I said to them, in all honesty, the reason I'm here is to see why I stopped doing this 40 years ago. And it's exactly why I stopped doing it. It's exactly why. I'm not going to stand there and have it. You know what it's like? It's like a co-op board gone mad. It really is. I'm not going to sit, I'm not going to watch it anymore, I'm not going to do it anymore. I don't care. I don't care if it's important that someone has a group that believes that the gills of the fish are sacred, and that's the most important thing. And the economic thing is kind of important, but really, I care about these gills. I mean, and really it boils down to it. I don't care. I don't care about animal rights. I don't care. And I really don't. I don't. I've said it time and again, until every human on the planet has their rights, then I will find the chimp a lawyer. But I really think it was really important in my growth as a human being to be involved in those protests, and I think it's really important. But in terms of changing the society, what I really think is that what I really wish is that the middle, which I've never really been a part of the middle, but they forced me into this position. I wish the middle would get together and force the issue. More than, I don't care enough about Wall Street, and I don't care enough about the people. I don't care. What I care about is that something has got to be done, and it's got to be done in terms of compromise. And I mean, if you watched Bowles and Simpson were in front of the Congress yesterday, just going, and they sat down and did it, and they wrote it all out in here, and they're ignoring it, and that's what I'm behind. That's how awful things are. That I am basically standing in front of a group of people saying, I'm for the Bowles-Simpson thing. That's sad. But that's the best I can hope for.
So with being a comedian with the upcoming election, who do you think would be the best material for you over the next year to be the Republican candidate to go against Obama? Who's going to be the most fun for you to work with over the next 12 months? Who's going to give you the most ammunition?
It's like an Italian troupe of Commedia dell'arte. I mean, seriously, what do you want? Mitt Romney is, you just can't wait to see what he says next. I think he could run he could say one thing one day and one thing the next day, and it could be opposite, and then he'd just laugh, and, you know, and show us his Mormon underwear. That's really why I like him to run, because I just want to see that underwear. I spent 10 weeks in Salt Lake City, and I want to see the underwear. I've never gotten to see it, and that's all. And I met a lot of Mormons, and I said, "Let me see that underwear." And then look at Rick Perry, he runs with a gun. He runs with a gun on himself, as if that's. And then there's Michelle Bachmann, who's really probably the most spectacular by far. And I think, and her husband, who's really, wow, that is just, wow. If you've never seen her husband talk, go online, because that's inexplicable. It's a whole thing of like, wow, that's just, I mean, really, seriously. It's like when you go to the you know, if you go down to the Halloween parade down on Christopher Street, you go and you see things, your brain. What is that? You know, Herman Cain. I mean, it's really, you know, those are all pretty much, you know, I can't even remember. Oh, and Ron Paul, who everybody always kind of, you know, who I think is, you know, has an interesting take on certain things, and I agree with him on certain things, but, you know, going back to the, you know, like the silver stand, whatever it is that he's thinking. And he's tough because he's so earnest, you just kind of, it's a little creepy. But no, it'll be, you know, and as a comic, I don't really care. I really wish we would move on so that I could go back to talking about the weather. Seriously, I went on stage. It was so great when it snowed, because I could go on stage and scream about it for 10 minutes and go through all of the things that I watched and told me it was not going to snow here. There was no way it was going to snow. There was no way it was going to snow in New York City. Because, and I mean, CNN ran it all day. There's a line here. There's water there. It will not snow here. And then when I woke up and saw that, I went completely ape. I was like psychotic for half an hour.
So what if Sarah Palin decided to run again and she won? She actually won. Would you think?
Would I say in the country? Well, then I would, in the sense of then it would allow me to write nonfiction, but it would read like fiction.
So, being an artist, what would you say your most and least favorite pieces of works are? Literature or even stand-up comedy?
Don't ever call me that. Literature is, Vonnegut was huge for me, and Catch-22 was huge, and you know, all of them, Hemingway, Faulkner, Snooki. Wow, they're really good. You know, comics are Bruce and Carlin and those guys were all political cartoons. Herb Block. If you've never seen Herb Block, have you ever seen it? You ever seen? There's no. But you're young. You're younger. Pick him up. It's unbelievable. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, I think more unbelievable in some ways than Saturday Night Live ever was, than most anything, than any. It's the most extraordinary condensed form of satire I've ever seen. And I was lucky enough as a kid that he was the one who did it on the Washington Post. And he kept doing these cartoons until he was like 84, 85. They're really, it's really quite amazing.
Would you explain a little bit more of your analogy for Christmas and fucking being single?
My analogy? Yeah. The reason I wrote about being single is because Christmas is the most family-oriented time of the year. Everybody's, you know, I can't wait to get back to my family, you know, and you know, chestnuts on an open fire, all that stuff, you know, and all the songs have to do with it, you know, and you know, I'll be home for And I mean, there's a myth to it, but there's a reality to it. I mean, you know, there are people I know who go home who have really happy families. And I wish they had reality shows, so the rest of us could really believe in that. But they do. But I've spent a lot of time going home with girlfriends of mine through my life, and wow, what occurs at Christmas in Christian households is spectacular. I watch stuff that is just beyond anything that I thought was imaginable from people who you know, are in the same bloodline, and so there's that side to it, but there really is this push for this family thing, and yet much of that is you kind of go back and you know there's kind of implosions taking place, and then